Tom Bower, who has been working on the sequel to Revenge for some time, has secured a big money serialization deal with Rupert Murdoch's News UK, specifically the Times newspaper, but I believe it may also extend to the Sun newspaper too, to reveal the first bombshells from his book, which is expected to further damage the Madam of Montecito.
All right, so Revenge was released in July of 2022. Since then, based on polling and media coverage, how would you describe the trajectory of Harry and Meghan's reputations professionally and personally? It feels like they've taken quite a bit of a dive.
I think it's going to be explosive because Meghan Markle can't control this narrative. Tom Bower is incredibly well respected. And at the end of the day, we want the truth, and we can't get the truth.
There's one name that keeps Meghan Markle up at night, and it's not a royal family member. It's not a tabloid editor. It's not even a former friend ready to spill secrets. It's Tom Bower, and he's about to drop a sequel that could end everything she's been desperately trying to rebuild. When Bower's first book hit shelves in July 2022, it became an instant international bestseller. But here's the thing that should terrify Meghan most. That book came out when she and Harry still had Netflix deals, Spotify contracts, and Hollywood connections willing to defend them. Revenge 2 is dropping after all of that collapsed. After Spotify publicly fired them. After their Netflix projects flopped. After $23 million worth of jam sits rotting in warehouses. The timing couldn't be worse for the Duchess of Montecito. And that's exactly why Tom Bower secured a massive serialization deal with News UK to publish the bombshells week after week. If you don't know Tom Bower, pay close attention. This man has been called the Witchfinder General of biographers, and that nickname wasn't given lightly. He's written over 25 unauthorized biographies on some of the most powerful people in Britain. Robert Maxwell, Richard Branson, Tony Blair, Boris Johnson, Simon Cowell, even Prince Charles.
Well, he just found her just too vain and too self-interested, which seems like he met his own match. But in the end, Simon doesn't really like many celebrities. I noticed when I went with him to the Oprah Winfrey Show and many other places around Hollywood and elsewhere, he's a rather shy guy. He's always afraid of being associated.
His method is devastatingly simple. He finds the people his subjects desperately don't want him to talk to, then he makes them talk. He works with documents, court records, tax filings, evidence that holds up under legal scrutiny. And here's what makes him absolutely terrifying for anyone trying to control a narrative. Tom Bower has never been successfully sued. Not once. Despite subjects who could afford the best lawyers money can buy, despite legal teams watching his every move, nobody has ever won a case against him. Why? Because Tom Bower does his homework so thoroughly that everything he publishes can be defended in court. His first book on the Sussexes featured 80 sources on record. Deep research, forensic investigation, people who had never spoken publicly finally breaking their silence. The revelations painted a picture of calculated ambition, burned bridges, and a pattern of behavior that would predict exactly where things are today. Critics at the time said he was being too harsh, that he had an agenda. But then everything he warned about started happening. The business ventures collapsed. The celebrity friendships evaporated.
The Sun and the Times did not do a deal with Tom Bower for his book on the Beckhams, and it was because those two newspapers are in the pockets of the Beckhams. They didn't want to run negative revelations about the Beckhams. I'm told that there is some disappointment from Bower that the Mail did not bid for Revenge Part 2, but of course that is because the Mail's coverage of Harry and Meghan is now corrupted because of the ongoing court case, which is still taking place in the High Court.
The staff members fled. His predictions didn't just come true, they came true faster than anyone expected. For Revenge 2, Bower has been building his case for years. He traveled extensively to Canada and the United States. He was on the ground at Invictus Games events. He's been collecting testimony, gathering documents, and tracking patterns that are about to be exposed in ways Meghan can't spin away this time. The Daily Mail didn't bid for serialization rights because of ongoing court cases with Harry. But the Times and the Sun have no such restrictions, and they're ready to publish everything Bauer has uncovered. Week after week, bombshell after bombshell hitting newsstands with nowhere for the Sussexes to hide. Let's talk about what Bauer witnessed in real time that's definitely making it into this book. February 2023, South Park drops their worldwide privacy tour episode, and it absolutely destroyed whatever credibility Harry and Meghan had left. The episode featured a prince and princess who desperately want privacy, but can't stop doing interviews about how much they want privacy. Sound familiar? But the moment that broke the internet was when they animated Meghan's actual bedside dancing video, the one she posted while heavily pregnant. In the South Park version, the character is dancing, and suddenly the baby bump falls off and hits the floor. A pillow. The internet absolutely exploded. TikTok flooded with reactions and reenactments. The pregnancy truthers felt vindicated. Whether you believe those theories or not, the fact remains that South Park felt confident enough to make that joke on international television, and Meghan couldn't do anything about it. Tom Bauer is going to document how that episode marked a turning point. Before South Park, questioning Meghan's narrative was considered conspiracy theory territory. After South Park, mainstream culture started openly mocking the contradictions. The couple that sued tabloids for invasion of privacy while doing tell-all interviews. The Duchess who wanted to be left alone but kept releasing content. South Park gave everyone permission to laugh, and once the mockery started, it never stopped. Bauer understands that cultural moment matters because it's when public opinion shifted permanently. But the South Park humiliation is just the beginning. Bauer has something far more damaging: actual numbers. American Riviera Orchard, Meghan's lifestyle brand that was supposed to be her comeback, is an absolute disaster. An internet glitch on her website revealed what she never wanted anyone to know: 137,000 boxes of fruit spread sitting unsold. $6 million in spreads alone. She's selling 0.03% of her overall stock per day. In one 24-hour period, she sold exactly 26 jars. Tom Bauer calculated that at this rate, it will take 9 years to clear the inventory. These are perishable goods. They're going to expire. They're going to rot. Millions of dollars literally going into the garbage. Here's where it gets worse. Bauer documented exactly how she created this disaster. She deliberately understocked the initial launch, created artificial scarcity, then used the sold-out headlines to get free press coverage, justifying a massive second order of 150,000 units. She scammed the media into giving her advertising for inventory she had no realistic way of selling. The candles without wicks, the $200 subscription boxes, the jams supposedly made in her kitchen but actually produced in an Illinois factory. Bauer is documenting the entire operation. And now she's releasing a cookbook with recipes that critics say look remarkably similar to Martha Stewart's work. If that gets proven, Bauer will be there to document whatever legal or PR nightmare follows. The American Riviera Orchard failure is embarrassing. What Tom Bauer uncovered about the Archewell Foundation is potentially criminal. He's got their 2024 tax forms, the 990 filings, the donor records, and the numbers are absolutely devastating. Total expenses, $5.1 million. Total donations received, $2.1 million. That's a $3 million loss in a single year. Expenses increased 54% year-over-year from $3.3 million to $5.1 million, while donations collapsed by 60%. Where did the money actually go? $913,000 in salaries for just 2 staff members. That's almost $500,000 per person. Then there's $2.9 million in other expenses, a category that typically hides security costs, private travel, luxury accommodations, and lifestyle expenses flowing through a tax-exempt charity. Meanwhile, actual charitable grants totaled $1.25 million. Bauer's math is simple and damning. They spent $5 million. They gave away $1 million to actual causes. The rest funded their operation and lifestyle. California declared them delinquent. Reports suggest the IRS opened an investigation. Right when scrutiny intensified, they frantically rebranded to Archewell Philanthropies and switched to a fiscal sponsorship model. which conveniently means another organization handles the accounting. That's not coincidence, Bauer will argue. That's consciousness of guilt. A credible nonprofit runs operating expenses around 10% of revenue. Archewell's expenses are 250% of revenue. This isn't incompetence. This appears to be deliberate misuse of charitable status to fund a celebrity lifestyle, and Bauer has all the paperwork to prove it. Then there's the staff exodus that Bauer has been tracking meticulously. 11 heads of staff have left since his first book dropped. 11. These aren't normal turnover numbers. James Holt, their chief communications officer, fled back to the UK. Meredith Maines, their PR director, reportedly quit after being asked to defend stories that fell apart under scrutiny. Every departure tells a story, and Bauer is collecting every single one because NDAs have expiration dates and confidentiality agreements have limits. People who signed those agreements, while still hopeful about working with the Sussexes, are now watching their legal obligations expire, while sitting on stories about what really happened behind closed doors. Bauer documented a clear pattern in his research. Burn bridges, alienate the people trying to help you, fail at every opportunity, then blame everyone else when it collapses. The Duchess' difficult nickname didn't come from tabloid invention. It came from actual staff members who experienced the work environment. Tyrant in high heels wasn't a creative insult from critics. It was reportedly how Hollywood executives described her after working together. These patterns matter because they predict future behavior, and Bauer was right about every prediction he made. The credibility gap between Tom Bauer and his subjects has never been wider. UK favorability ratings for Meghan have collapsed from 55% in 2019 to 20% today. That's a 45-point freefall in public opinion. Meanwhile, Bauer's reputation has only grown stronger. His first book was vindicated by everything that happened afterward. The business failures he predicted came true. The relationship problems he identified got worse. The financial concerns he raised are now backed by official tax documents showing millions in losses. Revenge 2 drops early 2026, and this time Bauer isn't just exposing what they're doing. He's investigating who they really are. The yacht years that Meghan's team desperately tries to keep buried. The age discrepancies that have never been adequately explained. The pregnancy controversies that South Park felt comfortable mocking. The charity operation that looks increasingly like fraud. The business ventures that appear designed to fail from the start. The staff abuse that's created a revolving door of departures. Bauer can't be sued over publicly available tax documents. He can't be silenced about IRS investigations that are matters of public record. He can't be intimidated by lawyers who already failed to stop his first book. The serialization begins soon in the Times and the Sun. Week after week of revelations, each one more damaging than the last, building a case that becomes impossible to deny. After South Park gave everyone permission to laugh, after the Jam disaster proved the business instincts were non-existent, after Archewell's numbers exposed the financial reality, after the staff exodus confirmed the workplace horror stories, Tom Bauer is arriving with documentation that can't be spun away. The first book exposed the ambition and the methods. Revenge 2 will expose the fraud and the consequences. And this time, Meghan Markle has absolutely nowhere left to hide.